Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Alright, so we've got a strange one on Reverb today. It's labeled a Gibson Les Paul Custom 1956 Rizzi Burst. Okay, let's check this thing out. Alright, so first glance, we've got an interesting brown burst refinish job. It's like a teardrop shape right here. I mean, normally we associate a teardrop shape on a Les Paul to be like this type of teardrop. Not kind of a whooshy one like that, but okay. And then you've got this dark brown border. I don't know if I like it or not, but the whole reason why I wanted to share this one is look what we've got here. Double staples, man. Double staples. Not only do we have double staple pickups here, but you have the mini humbucker surrounds on top of them. I didn't even know that was an option. So if you're not familiar, these original Les Paul Customs from like late 53 to early 57 when these things were reigning supreme, they would have a staple pickup in the neck called the Alnico 5 and then a regular P90 in the bridge. And these pickups use a deeper route than normal, so that means not only has somebody replaced this bridge pickup in here, they've also enlarged that route. Not like enlarged it for a humbucker, but made it deeper. So besides that, you can see through to the mahogany wood grain because remember, the original Les Paul Customs did not have maple tops. It looks like somebody swapped out our knobs here. We still have the thumb bleed pointers, but golden speed knobs instead of the black ones. And it looks like we got little rubber grippers on this one, so somebody definitely played this thing a lot. Originally a stop bar tailpiece ABR1 setup, but somebody has installed a Bigsby on it. And it looks like potentially the original pickguard's still on here, so just a whole bunch of modifications just from the front. But since that finish has like a slight transparent hue to it, it almost kind of looks like an artwork. Like maybe a tanned cowhide or like watercolors. It just kind of has an interesting hue to it. But it appears it's been glossed over at least. And seeing as this started life as a 56 custom, it would have had the true fretless wonder frets, but we can tell not only by the missing fret nibs, but how tall these frets are that somebody has refretted this to make it a more suitable guitar to play modern day stuff on. The fretless wonders, they're great if you're doing jazzy stuff because they're like not even there, but if you're trying to do big bends, they're a little bit harder to do. You want the more modern fret wire, but we still have the custom block inlays. Now, did they do anything crazy to the headstock? Let's check that out. Nope, that looks, pretty good, minus the swapped out tuners here, but wow, such a yellowed font right there, but I love everything else about this headstock. But now, switch over to the backside. Huh, interesting. So you've kind of got like a yin-yang situation here. You've got this big comma right there, but then a teardrop shape on the front. I guess I never realized that those were different shapes. So on the front here, it's that light brown color that reigns dominant. You just got a little bit of the dark brown. But on the back, it's more so the dark brown. But seeing as this is a 1950s Les Paul Custom, I hate what they've done back here. Because what they've done is they've transformed it to make it look like a 90s Les Paul Custom. And I say that because if somebody showed me a picture of this neck and said, hey, Trogly, what is this guitar? I would say that is a very characteristic look of a 90s Les Paul. Now, some of the mid-80s also have a neck that kind of look like this. That's like the exact type of finish that they would use on here. So seeing that just kind of turns me off, and then knowing that somebody swapped out the original cool Kluson waffle backs for Grovers, it makes me sad. But the original waffle back tuners, they're not that good anyways. They just look pretty. But no serial number on a 50s Les Paul. No thank you. But this is the first time I'm actually realizing this. There is a red streak in here. And I guess the more I look at this finish, the more you can kind of tell that they didn't fill the grain of the wood, so it's kind of going to have like an orange peeliness vibe to it. So okay, somebody mutilated an original Les Paul Custom. What is the rest of the story? Why is it called a Rizzi Burst? Let's check out our description. 1956 Les Paul Custom, James Rizzi, made in USA. Alright, so it was purchased in 1969 by its current owner, so that means Yeamans likely has this in on consignment. And apparently that's a really old refin job that was done in the late 60s. But then it was saying in May of 1970, he commissioned this unknown artist called James Rizzi for this custom design. Okay? And I'm not really big into art, but apparently this guy has a future career as a pop artist. So it's kind of like getting Jimmy Page to sign a guitar for you before he was a big rock god. But here's what kind of confuses me about the story. It says that Rizzi suggested this pattern and sketched it onto the instrument. And then after which aniline dyes were used to interpret the design, bring out all the hues and the grain of the top and the back. So they called it a Rizzi burst simply because, that's what people do. But then in 1994, they showed it to James again and they had him initial it. So I guess that's what this is, James Rizzi, commenting that the guitar turned out nicely. So if I'm understanding that description right, all he did was sketch a teardrop on this dude's guitar, and then he had somebody else do the aniline dyeing work. That just doesn't seem right. Can you really call this a Rizzi creation if he didn't do all the finishing and painting work? Oh man, does that one actually have a little bit of red on the front as well? Maybe. It's kind of hard to see in these photos. But they're saying it does indeed have 2 real 50s Alnico staple pickups in there, and the speed knobs came off of a Les Paul Gold Top. Interesting. So they're saying that the value of this guitar lies within the connection of this artist, not necessarily the 1956 Les Paul Custom. Oh my goodness, it was listed a year ago? Jeez, I must have caught this when they relisted it or something. Because I first saw this one about 3 weeks ago. So it initially started at $30,000. We are now down to about 20 grand. And it is located in Switzerland. So is this guy out of his mind in his price? Or is he not? Let's find out. James Rizzi, what's he look like? Looks like this. He's got a very eclectic art style. I can't say I'm a huge fan of it, but I could see where this would come into play. Like maybe a mural at some sort of a protest for peace and love. I mean, anybody can love anybody here. We've got some flowers. We've got a guy that looks very similar to Rizzi himself. Got some wine, some other freaky people. And then this one, we've got like a city at night with their clothing out. Okay. So bright and colorful seems to be his style, because I see bright happiness everywhere with the buildings turning into octopus tentacles and unicorns. Oh man, the more you dig into this stuff, the more it's like, what was this guy on? Looks like an airplane company had him do up one of their planes. That's interesting. But apparently he's no longer with us, so that usually means the artist's work will get higher because he can't make anymore, and you can read some more information about the guy here. But what I found interesting here is if we go down to this. This is like a recurring theme that I see in a bunch of his stuff. He's got these little bird chicken guys going on. But take a close look at the body. Does that look familiar to you guys? It's kind of like those little chicken guys without their head, especially this one back here. So you just take one of those guys, lift it off the page, move it over here, drop it on top of there. Yeah, so it's kind of like he just decided to draw one of his chicken guys on a golden era Les Paul. So now the big question is, how much is this guy's original artwork worth? So I just popped it into, it looks like First Dibs website to find the first thing I could find. Looks like $6,800 is what somebody's asking for this original one. Looks like we got a 5 grand, a 10 grand. Now, I don't actually know if these things actually sell, but they don't appear to be that expensive. So with the seller saying that most of the value of this guitar now comes because it's part of his artwork, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, because you would have to find somebody who loves his particular art style and loves that he just did the drawing on this and maybe not even did the complete finishing work, and they're going to have to love vintage Les Paul customs that have been modified. So $30,000, obviously that's crazy talk. Now $20,000, how bad is that? Well, let's see here. Original 54, about 26. Someone wants 35. I mean, a lot of these are just really highly inflated prices. And sadly, most of these don't end up selling on Reverb simply because, it usually goes through bank wires. But it looks like the last one to sell was around this range. And Reverb puts them between 19 to 26,000. But here's one for as cheap as 12,000. I think this one's Hugo, isn't it? We saw him on a guitar hunting episode once. So this is like a beaten headstock repaired, which is very similar in a devaluation to a refinish job. But then you also have to remember that Bigsby's also kill the value on vintage guitars because nobody wants the snake bite. So pretty much the only thing that this thing has going for it is the fact that it does not appear to have ever sustained any type of headstock break. but it would need a proper refinish. Get the covers back on there. I guess thankfully, since you're going to refinish this black anyways, you can likely hide the snake bite. I hate disrespecting an artist's work, but it just does not work on a 50s Les Paul Custom. I think I'll have to give it the thumbs down on this one. Oh, and don't forget that this no longer has a serial number on it either. So maybe 8,000, 8 to 12, that would be my best guess. But this is kind of one of those pieces where it's just worth as much as somebody's willing to pay. I mean, if all the stars align, he might not be too far off. But if it's been for sale over a year, not a single offer, I think that's telling us it's going to be a pretty hard sell. It's kind of an interesting piece, nonetheless, even if it's just for the creative use of mini humbucker rings on a staple pickup. Would have never thought of doing that before today. And just as a little bonus here, this exact same shop has another guitar I saved in my watch list because, yeah, kind of an interesting modification here. All I need to say about this one is summed up perfectly in this guy's description. It's a one-owner guitar. Unfortunately, the owner had to carve his love for hemp into the guitar's body. All I've got to say is at least it was a semi-what okay engraving. I mean, it could look a lot worse than it does. And other than that, this guitar actually looks pretty darn clean. And these 80s SGs are pretty cool. Is this one that has the side output jack? It should. It looks like it does. Yes, it is one of those. I don't think he's too far off his price range on this one. Someone will dig that. And you also have to remember, this is in Switzerland. Things overseas always get a slight premium as compared to the USA market. But while we're talking about weird carved up SGs, one more little bonus thing here. So I've actually already talked about a bottle opener SG, but I saw this one come up and it's like, oh, did this company Shiner actually commission these things? Because I never thought in a million years that I would find another one of these with a built-in bottle opener on the front. But this one kind of has a special pickguard. So let me know if you ever find another bottle opener SG. I think that would be kind of a cool little decorative prop for somebody's kitchen. But anyways, the only question left, would you rock the Rizzi Burst or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.